If you flip over a wet rock in a garden, anywhere on Earth, you might find a pillbug. It is a tiny, harmless thing. It curls into a ball when you touch it. It has little legs and a gray shell. It is cute. It is small. Humans look at it and feel nothing but mild curiosity. But take that same biological blueprint, that same segmented armor and those same twitching legs, and drop it into the deepest part of the Gulf of Mexico. Add 2 miles of water on top of it. Turn off the lights. Drop the temperature to near freezing. Then wait a few million years. The result is not cute. The result is the Bathynomus, the giant isopod. This creature is a glitch in the human understanding of scale. On land, gravity and oxygen limits how big an insect or a crustacean can get. If an ant were the size of a pony, it would collapse under its own weight or suffocate because it could not get enough air into its tubes. But the bottom of the ocean plays by a different rule book. Down here, the water supports the weight. Down here, the oxygen concentration is different. And down here, the rule is simple. Get big or die. The scene opens on the abyssal plain. The floor is covered in a thick layer of gray muck. It is silent. The only movement comes from the slow drift of marine snow, the flakes of dead organic matter falling from the surface miles above. It looks like a winter night in a dead forest. Out of the gloom, a shape emerges. It looks like a helmet from a sci-fi suit of armor. It is pale lilac, almost pink, the color of a bruise. It moves on 14 legs. This is not a bug you can squash with a shoe. This thing is the size of a football. Some grow to be the size of a house cat. It is nearly 2 feet long. It weighs 4 pounds. It is a tank made of chitin and calcium. As it crawls through the mud, its antennae sweep the water in front of it. These antennae are long, whip-like sensors that taste the chemistry of the ocean. They are looking for one thing: death. The giant isopod is a scavenger. It is the janitor of the deep. But unlike a janitor that works a shift every day, this creature works on a timeline that is hard to comprehend. Food in the deep sea is rare. A dead fish might drop once a month. A dead whale might drop once a decade. So, the body of the isopod has evolved to be the ultimate battery. This is the heart of deep-sea gigantism. Scientists call it Kleiber's Law, or simply the metabolism rule. In the freezing cold water, chemical reactions happen slowly. The heart rate drops. The cells function in slow motion. Because the metabolism is so slow, the animal lives longer, much longer. And because it lives longer, it keeps growing. On land, a bug lives for a season. Here, the bug lives for decades. It just keeps adding armor plates, keeps expanding until it becomes a giant. But there is another reason for the size: efficiency. A larger animal can travel further on a single tank of gas. If a tiny pillbug tried to walk across the Atlantic floor to find a meal, it would burn out and die halfway there. But a giant 14-legged monster has the energy reserves to walk for miles, for weeks, without eating. The large size also allows it to store more energy. The body is packed with lipid reserves, layers of fat and oil that sustain it during the long famines. The narrative shifts to a feeding event. The silence of the deep is broken by a thud. A tuna, dead from old age or illness, sinks from the surface and hits the silt. The impact sends a small cloud of mud into the water. The scent of the oil and blood begins to drift downstream with the weak current dot a mile away. The isopod freezes. The antennae twitch. It has picked up the signal. The zombie mode deactivates. The legs begin to churn. It moves with surprising speed for something that looks so heavy. It isn't swimming. It is power walking. It navigates the darkness, ignoring the bioluminescent jellyfish and the viperfish. It is focused on the prize. When it arrives at the carcass, it is not alone. Others are coming out of the shadows. This is the horror of the deep. One giant bug is a curiosity. 50 giant bugs are a nightmare. They swarm the dead fish. They don't have teeth in the traditional sense. They have mandibles, complex multi-layered mouthparts that work like saws and scissors. They slice into the flesh. They bury their heads inside the carcass. This is not a polite meal. This is a gorge. The stomach of the giant isopod is expandable. It is a bag that can stretch to occupy almost the entire internal cavity of the body. They eat until they literally cannot move. They eat until their legs can no longer lift their bellies off the mud. They fill themselves with so much meat that they look like bloated ticks. This behavior is necessary. They don't know when the next meal is coming. It could be tomorrow. It could be 5 years from now. There is a famous case in an aquarium in Japan where a giant isopod ate a meal and then refused to eat again. The keepers offered it fish every week. It refused. It didn't eat for 5 years. And then it died, not of starvation, but of old age. 5 years without a single calorie. That is the power of the giant body. That is the efficiency of the deep. The visual of the creature is unsettling because it is so familiar, yet so wrong. The eyes are huge, triangular, and reflective. They look like the visors on a fighter pilot's helmet. These compound eyes have thousands of individual facets. In the pitch black, they are designed to catch the faintest glimmer of light, perhaps the bioluminescence of a predator or the bacterial glow on a piece of rotting meat. But mostly, they stare into the void. The shell itself is a marvel of engineering. It is segmented to allow flexibility. If a predator attacks, say, a deep-sea shark or a large octopus, the isopod uses the same trick as its tiny garden cousin. It rolls up. It becomes a ball. But this isn't a soft ball. It is an armored sphere. The spikes on the shell lock together. The shark bites down and breaks its teeth on the hard exoskeleton. The isopod waits it out. It has nowhere to be. It has plenty of time. The environment dictates the design. The pressure at these depths is over 2,000 pounds per square inch. It would crush a human skull like a soda can. But the isopod has no air spaces inside its body to collapse. It is fluid-filled. It is at equilibrium with the ocean. The pressure doesn't bother it. In fact, if you brought it to the surface too quickly, the lack of pressure would kill it. It belongs to the weight. There is something primal about seeing these creatures feast. It reminds the observer that the Earth is not primarily a human planet. The oceans cover most of the surface, and the deep ocean is the largest habitat on the world. This means that, statistically, this giant armored, scavenging existence is more normal for Earth than walking on 2 legs and breathing air. The giant isopod is the standard. We are the weird ones. The females carry their eggs in a pouch under their bodies, just like kangaroos or opossums. But these eggs are the largest of any marine invertebrate. They look like ping-pong balls. When the babies hatch, they are already fully formed monsters, just smaller. There is no larval stage. They walk out of the pouch ready to wander the darkness for eternity. They are born into the cold and they embrace it. Sometimes, oil companies send remote-operated vehicles, ROVs, down to inspect pipelines. The cameras catch these creatures clinging to the metal pipes or walking over the concrete foundations. They look like aliens invading a moon base. They are indifferent to the bright lights of the robot. They might bump into the camera lens, their massive antennae tapping the glass, checking if the machine is edible. Finding it is metal, they turn away. Sliding back into the gloom. The existence of the giant isopod challenges the idea of monster. To us, a bug the size of a cat is a monster. It triggers a deep, instinctive revulsion. But in the deep sea, being a monster is the only way to survive. You have to be tough. You have to be efficient. You have to be big. The tiny, frantic life of a surface insect wouldn't last 5 minutes down here. The gigantism isn't just about isopods. It happens to spiders, sea spiders. It happens to squid. It happens to single-celled amoebas. The deep ocean stretches life out. It pulls the clay of biology into strange, elongated shapes. The giant isopod is just the poster child for this rule. It is the mascot of the abyss. As the feeding frenzy on the tuna concludes, the carcass is stripped to the bone. The white skeleton sits stark against the gray mud. The isopods, bloated and heavy, begin to disperse. They move slower now. They are heavy with fuel. They will find a quiet depression in the mud, curl up slightly, and enter a state of dormancy. Their heart rates will drop even further. They will become stones. They might sit there for a year, motionless, digesting that one meal. The silt will settle on their backs, covering them, camouflaging them, until they look like just another rock on the ocean floor. They disappear. The monster goes back to sleep. The story of the giant isopod is a reminder of the layers of this planet. We live on the thin, warm crust where things are fast and small. But below us, in the eternal dark, the ancient, slow, giant things are waiting. They were here before the dinosaurs. They will probably be here after us. They are the perfect survivors, the silent kings of the mud, proving that sometimes, to survive the hardest conditions, you just have to get really, really big.